Newsfirst, face to face with Shalan Benedict.
Hello there, a very good evening. Welcome to another edition of Face to Face. We're joined this evening by parliamentarian Harshana Rajakaruna from the Samagi Jana Balawegya. A very good evening, Mr. Rajakaruna, and welcome to the show. Getting right into what's really happening these days. The big discussion nowadays that quite shouldn't be a discussion is which election will come first. Back last year, we had the discussion on when will the election be held. Unfortunately, there was no election, although nominations were called in, lists were submitted, campaigns were started. There was absolutely no election, despite assurances from the governing party that elections will be held on time. Despite the parliament allocating money for the local government elections last year, it wasn't held. Now, fast forward to this year. The president himself came out at the start of the year and said, look here, we're having the presidential election first. We're going to have the general election right after that, probably at the beginning of 2025 or maybe latter stage of 2024. Then now there is this big discussion with the organizer, the national organizer of the SLPP, Basil Rajapaksa, bringing to the fore this whole new idea of having the parliamentary election first and then having the presidential election. According to, well, your understanding of what really is happening here, do you think presidential elections will be held first, or?
First of all, thank you very much for having me today. Good evening. And regarding elections, okay, like you said, we are supposed to have had the local council elections
last year.
However, it was unconstitutional and they did not have the elections. So now, 2024, we are talking about two elections, two national elections, the presidential election. Constitutionally, they have to have it by October. The parliamentary election, the executive, the president has the powers, the executive powers to dissolve the parliament. Or else the parliamentarians should put a proposal to dissolve the parliament. So those are the only two ways that a parliament election can be held. Yes, Basil Rajapaksa was pushing for a parliamentary election, but what we hear and what we get to know is that president is hoping to have the presidential election first. I mean, when it comes to SJB, we believe that we don't even mind having both elections on the same day. I mean, we can save a lot of money, and it is important to have a new fresh mandate for both, because actually, if you consider the president, he is not with a people's mandate that he's in that seat, and even the parliament. In 2 years ago, there was riots all because people were not happy with how things were running, and unfortunately, we didn't have any elections. But it's the same old people that was led by a new person who's running the country. So it is important to have a fresh mandate when it comes to the presidential as well as the parliamentary election. So SJP, we don't mind having both even together, but by the looks of it, I think it will be the presidential election.
Well, we've seen a lot of, for the lack of a better word, crazy things happening during the run-up to an election. We've seen people say a lot of controversial things, and it seems like that season has almost started now with the recent statement made by former President Maithripala Sirisena, when he claimed that he knows the exact people who were behind the Easter Sunday attacks. Now, the former president has given a statement to the CID, but of course this is such a revelation coming from none other than the mouth of the president at the time the attacks took place is cause for concern. It was traumatizing, maybe even to the victims and the loved ones of the victims who lost their loved ones in the attacks, when they find out that the president at the time now really knows who these masterminds are. Do you think there is any truth to this statement? Was it just banter? Was it just another political statement that popped up? What is your take on this?
I was quite surprised to hear what he had to say. At first, I was wondering, why did you just not say it before? Then he came and covered...
clarified it, saying
that he got
he only found out about it 3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago. So even 3 weeks was quite a long time, I think, for a person like that, just to not mention it to the authorities. And the first thing he should have done was not more than even coming into media, that he should have gone to the police. And what he said was that he should be called by the judiciary. I mean, that's not how it works.
He said that he doesn't know about the law, he doesn't really understand where he should go.
I'm sure he doesn't know a lot of things, but I'm sure he can get advice from people and find out what he can do. Because he is a former president. He should be a responsible person, or a more responsible person. So I don't know. I don't trust him. I know we helped him and voted for him,
yes,
and made him the president, which I regret sometimes. But however, I mean, if there is something valid, I think it's very positive. But I don't personally have any trust in his words. So I hope that the authorities will take action, and because it's high time. I mean, it's overdue. What has happened so many years ago, we have to keep whoever who did this terrorist activity accountable. And SJB, we believe that we need to take the support of specialists locally as well as internationally to find out who's behind this terrorist attack. And because so far, for so many years, we have not been able to find it out. And therefore, I think it's that we need international support in this.
But when you take a look at the history of how these kind of incidents have been dealt with, not just terrorist attacks alone. Take, for example, the incident in Meethotamulla. Nobody even really talks about it now. There was negligence involved there in how this garbage dump was managed. There were protests by the people who were living there, and at the end of the day, many people lost their lives. That's just one incident. Then you have the incident in Rathupassala. There are many other incidents that just continue to go unaddressed. What does the SJB plan on doing differently in trying to bring some closure, at the very least, some closure to the victims and to the loved ones of the victims of not only the Easter Sunday attack, but also those other incidents as well?
Yeah, I think mainly the Easter Sunday attack, even the incumbent president, Ranil Wickremesinghe, when he addressed in Parliament, as far as I can remember, he did mention that he is going to get assistance from Scotland Yard. But I don't think that he has come anywhere close to Scotland Yard or made a request officially or nothing like that.
Why do you think that is?
So I mean, that's a surprising part of it. I mean, I believe that we can easily get the international support in this. And Scotland Yard is one option. And I'm sure that we can get assistance, and SJB will definitely get assistance from the international authorities, international community, because we believe that there should be, that's the least thing we can do I mean, not only for East attack, but East attack is a significant issue that we need to, rectify. And we are very confident, and our party, we have decided, and our leader Sajid Premadasa, the opposition leader, I think, yesterday or today even, he did mention that he will get assistance from the international authorities, and we will do so.
But these promises to, bring criminals to book, do justice for all the past wrongs that were done. There have been many scams that have taken place in Sri Lanka. There has been no justice up until date. So people take these promises of, justice and all that with a pinch of salt. And there might be many who are watching the program right now even saying, I'm not going to buy it. So what kind of assurances can you give them?
So you have to, okay, now SJB and Sajid Premadasa, UMP and Ranil Wickremesinghe. Okay, I mean, it's clear that there's some involvement with SLPP, Rajapaksas in this. So there was a talk about this happened to bring Gotabaya Rajapaksa into power and so on. So what you need to compare is Ranil Wickremesinghe, who is supported and protected by the Rajapaksas and the SLPP, whether he will find the truth, or SJB, who has no connection or alliance or dependence with SLPP or the Rajapaksas, who would make a better effort to find out what really happened. So I am very confident that even the public will believe when we say, when Sajid Premadasa and the SJB say that we will find out the truth, because we have no affiliation, no dependence, or no one to protect.
That would have usually been the case, as in the two parties that you mentioned, two factions. It's always been a kind of a dual system in Sri Lankan politics. But if you go through even print media and other reports that are coming out, this presidential election is slated to be a three-way contest. So what do you have to say about the other party, the new party that has entered the fray and now is competing, some might claim, even neck to neck, who make the same promise? They say we have absolutely no affiliation with Ranil Wickremesinghe. He was never our leader. We have no affiliation with the SLPP either. So what if they say that we are a better party to give justice or to do justice?
I don't believe that JVP-led alliance will be able to deliver. There is the same old team. They have put NPP to camouflage the JVP and the history behind the JVP. But still the decision makers are the JVP leaders. So there's absolutely nothing called NPP. It's just to camouflage what they have done in the past. So the JVP, whether they have delivered, whether they can deliver, a big question mark. And I don't believe that people will take the risk. Because, I mean, there is, I'm sure there might be an increase in their percentage from 3% to, say, 15% or so. And that is a significant jump. So they must be feeling that, they are almost there. I mean, because from 3%, when you say 15%, it's 500 times, 5 times more, 500% more. So obviously they must be feeling, that they are almost there. But more than that, I don't believe that they have a team. I mean, with that NPP, they can probably mention less than 10 people who people know of. So without a team, I don't believe that they can deliver. And I believe we have an honest, hard-working leader, Sajid Premadasa, the opposition leader who has delivered when he was a minister, when he was a cabinet minister, when he was an opposition leader. And also with him, there's a credible team. If you look at our economic tape, Harsha Iran Kabir, if you look at the rest, the young crowd that is in that, I believe SJB has the best leader as well as the best team. And you can't compare that with any other political party in Sri Lanka.
So when speaking about democracy in Sri Lanka and how our leaders have come and gone, we've tried this for 75 years and today we're suffering the repercussions. Not saying that all leaders were bad or everything that every leader did was wrong. There were good leaders, there were wrong things done by good leaders, there were right things done by good leaders, there were right things done by bad leaders, there were wrong things done by bad leaders. So it's a big mix, but what's important is that we foster this culture of democracy. Now, we saw the Tamil parties in the north. They had an election where 300 of their members voted, similar to maybe, or at least just partially taking from maybe how the system in US works when it comes to selecting a party leader or a candidate for a presidential election. We don't really see that amongst other major parties, if you will, in Sri Lanka, like the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, the SLFP, the UNP, the SJB. It's always there is a leader. He becomes president. He becomes takes top office in the country, and then he might at times refuse to leave, or there's a struggle for the leadership, and then another person comes and it's that person's selection that just goes on. There is absolutely no democracy in parties. So do you believe that SJB is any different, and do you believe that culture of democracy should be maybe fostered a little bit more among the major political parties in Sri Lanka?
So I really think that which was done in TNA, I think it was, Tamil National Alliance internal election that happened was quite a first time probably I think,
in Sri Lanka.
In Sri Lanka. I think that was great. And I believe most of political parties don't have internal democracy. I mean, JVP, UMP, we never had. I was in UMP, so I know.
That's one of the major complaints for forming the SJB as well.
Exactly. So in the SJB, the democracy where we learned from the UMP, so was. I mean, that was a main reason that we formed the SJB. So there is an annual process, unlike the UMP, how it was. So, but this is something that I think Sri Lanka should think about and rectify. I believe that most of the political parties should have a process where you have in US or any other countries. Unfortunately, it's not the case, but now, when it comes to the SJB, I think it's far better than what we had. But I still believe that there's more that we can work on.
But usually what we see in Sri Lanka is that these kind of topics, internal democracy in parties, they're all discussed at the cusp of an election. And right after the election, come dawn the next day, everything is forgotten, it's hunky-dory, whoever won, will enjoy the spoils of the war and rule the country for the next 4 years. But do you think there is actually room this time around for something substantial to happen, at least in that perspective?
So this is the thing. To be realistic, if you win, it's very much less that you will question But if you lose, then only you start questioning the internal democracy and other internal processes. So that is the reality. But I believe that there should be more time spent, and we really don't have that internal democracy in most of the political parties. And that is something that, as a country, we should look into.
So again, speaking about the election, this time, like I said before, people are saying it's going to be a three-way contest. If I maybe blankly ask you, who do you think biggest competition for the SJB is at this election?
So far, I think JVP-led NPP has some sort of campaign is done, is happening. So, I mean, I think they are the only party that has started some sort of political activity with the SJB.
To campaign for the election?
Yes.
Okay.
So, other political parties have not done any. So, the UMP did one rally, I think. I mean, they have brought everybody from the whole country and had one election in one meeting in Kuliyapitiya.
Yes.
And
where he actually criticized several political parties, including the SJB.
Yes, yes. And then, but he had again, done only one rally. So SLPP has not done a single. So I believe that only two active political parties are SJB and NPP.
Well, speaking about another major political event, or an event that was supposed to be about the workers in Sri Lanka, but has now come to a point where it's transformed into a political statement, if you will. The MayDay rally is what I'm talking about. Many view this MayDay rally as an expression of their political power, their status at the time. And we have the 1st of May coming up, the MayDay rally. SJB has started planning already, or?
Yes. So I'm also in the committee of organizing the steering committee of the MayDay, and we are hoping to have it in Colombo. We have not made the announcement yet, so that I won't go into detail, but we are going to bring the largest, we're going to make sure that it's the largest rally done by any political party. And so it's going to be over 100,000 supporters coming into Colombo. So it's going to be a huge event, and that will show our strength. We have already done quite a lot of meetings in the recent past, from 2024. We had a very successful youth district meeting in Kurunagala. We had a couple of women's rallies, one in Kandy and one in Galle. So we are having a professionals meeting. Then we are having another women's rally in Badulla next weekend. And we are having another youth rally in Kegol. And the MayDay, obviously, on the 1st of May. So, I mean, there's a lot that we have been doing, and we are quite confident that we can win the next election, whether it's the presidential or the parliamentary election.
This time around, of course, given what Sri Lankans have suffered, they will be looking a little bit more closer at the policies that the SJB is planning on implementing once or if they win the election and assume power, and the general public will be more inclined to keep the SJB, to take the SJB to book if those policies are not followed. So around when do you think the SJB will be releasing their policy document for whichever election that comes first?
So our economic policy is being discussed already, the economic blueprint.
Okay.
So we are actually, we launched it about a year and a half ago.
And you all have been keep on updating it.
Exactly, we have been keep updating it, and also it's tomorrow we have it in Ratnapura. So last few weeks ago we had it in Mathura and so on. So the economic program is being discussed, but the overall election manifesto will come close to the election. So we have been forming few committees headed by Iran Vikramaratne, and proposals have been discussed. So the final product will happen close to the election.
And well, of course, when speaking about what will happen after the election, there's a higher probability, especially at a general election, if it comes first, or even if it does come second, with what Sri Lankans experienced by just handing over unfettered power, 2/3 majority at a general election to the SLPP in the 2019 election. The people are here now partially because of certain decisions that they made. And having given one political party unfettered power like that and suffering a consequence like this, it's more likely than not that the next parliament will not be, or one party will not get absolute power in parliament, will not get the 2/3 majority. It was anyway an off chance, and especially after a predicament like this, it's highly unlikely that the people will make that choice again. So despite of how many seats that the SJB wins at the general election, what kind of political movements will the SJB be willing to work with?
So I personally believe that yes, having 2/3 is not necessary. I think you need 2/3 when you want to make a constitutional change. And that constitutional change, if it's pro-country, the whole parliament will support.
Yes.
And at least the 2/3 we should be able to get if it's a good amendment. So, I mean, we are hoping that we will get the majority. And we are confident that we will get the majority. And if we need to get 2/3, and it will all depend on the amendment and or the constitutional change that we are looking to do. And we will discuss with the whole parliament. And if it's pro-country, and we are confident that we will be able to get the support of other opposition parties also.
Because despite what anyone really thinks of the current members in parliament or whichever political parties they support, come a general election and new members of parliament are elected, whoever members of parliament are elected by the people, and therefore they do have a mandate once they enter parliament. And of course, at this time of great economic turmoil in our country, it's important that our leaders also work together despite sharing different views. Thank you very much, parliamentarian Harshana Rajakaruna from the Samagi Janabalawegya, for joining us this evening on Face to Face. Thank you very much to all our viewers out there for tuning in to another episode. Until we meet again, take care and God bless.
Thank you.